This is the Royal Report.
Good evening, welcome to the Royal Report. I'm Caroline DeRusso and we have plenty of fresh news for you on the show tonight. Now, King Charles has made his first appearance and is raring to get back in action. We'll tell you what we can expect to see from the King's return. We have the detail on why Princess Catherine sat alone for her video last week. And will Harry's upcoming visit to the UK finally mend his relationship with the family? Esther Kraku joins us from London to give us the detail on that story. But first, I'd like to wish you all a happy Easter Sunday, an occasion for reflection and a time to spend with the family. And while we all have our own Easter traditions, some years we just have to make do. And that's what it feels like for the royal family this year. There's a bit of breaking with tradition, replaced with a bit of just making do, given the current health challenges for King Charles and Princess Catherine. On Thursday, there was the traditional church service and the giving of Maundy money to recognise 74 men and 74 women for their contribution to their community and church. It's a tradition which has taken place in England since 600 AD and one which the late Queen decided to take nationwide in 1952. This year, Queen Camilla stepped in for King Charles and became the first royal consort to take over the responsibility, giving Maundy money after a service at the Worcester Cathedral. And in a touching tribute, she wore matching gold and sapphire brooches, which belonged to the late Queen. And while the King was unable to attend in person, he still recorded a video message which was played into the cathedral during the service. And today, the King and Queen have attended the Easter Sunday Matin service at St George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. They were accompanied by other senior royals, except for the Prince and Princess of Wales, who didn't join the rest of the family as the Princess continues to recover from her cancer treatment. The service is followed by a traditional roast lamb lunch back at the castle, and while it will be a smaller and no doubt a more sedate occasion than usual, it's great to see the family making the best of the circumstances. The King's nephew, Peter Phillips, reflected on spending time with the family during our interview last week.
We're very lucky that, whilst we probably don't see as much of each other as we would like to, as you say, when we are together, it's a very important time, and it's not just, it's not just for us as cousins, but it's also for all of our children to be together.
Because even if traditions are not strictly adhered to, family time is still special. And sometimes the making do family time becomes the most memorable. Joining me now is News Corp columnist Angela Mollard and royal expert Pandora Forsyth. Ladies, a somewhat unconventional Easter for the royal family, given the health sensitivities surrounding King Charles and Princess Catherine. But Angela, leading into Easter, the King has been very gracious to those who extended their well wishes.
That's right, he has. He's spoken in that Easter service message, which he pre-recorded actually in mid-March, about duty, about service and about warmth. I think, Caroline, he is really quite blown away by the support that he's received. He knew that his late mother was beloved. He was absolutely sure of that. Everyone knew the respect that was there from the Queen, for the Queen. But I think this time when Charles is under, trying circumstances, there are challenges to the family. I think he is sort of quite surprised that the public and the people around the world have come out and there is such goodwill and well wishes for him. And I think he's speaking to that during that Easter service, but also just to see him there on the steps. I was watching that live as it was happening about, 45 minutes ago, and I just thought, you know what, even this far away, it's really lovely just to see him in the flesh out there, doing what royals do.
And he had a great smile on his face. He actually looked like he was really enjoying himself and really enjoy being back out there, absolutely. Now, despite the King's health concerns, he really is ready to get back to work. And this is what Peter Phillips said when we spoke to him.
He's in good spirits. I think ultimately he's hugely frustrated. He's frustrated that he can't get on and do everything that he wants to be able to do. But he's very pragmatic. He understands that there's a period of time that he really needs to focus on himself.
Pandora, what are the King's plans to increase his official engagements while he, manages his treatment?
Yeah, he's really going to be dialing them up now towards the summer. And the fact that he was out today, and as we've just said, in great spirits, would show to us from a medical perspective, putting 2 and 2 together, that's given him the green light to essentially go out and about, which will help him so much in terms of his overall positive mindset in quite difficult times. And he is so keen to get back to work. He is apparently allowing more people inside for face-to-face meetings within Buckingham Palace as well, which is great news because he's not shy of work and he is so keen to get back to it.
And Angela, you and a range of royal commentators made some comments earlier this week about the royal family's ability to survive. Now let's take a look at that.
Certainly, it's been an extraordinary few weeks. There needs to be a period of unity.
There's been so much said and written and speculation online that these medical diagnoses are signifying the end of the British monarchy, that this is a monarchy in crisis. It's absolute nonsense.
The British monarchy is the most respected and loved throughout the world.
This has really just cemented the role of the monarchy in the public mind and the public affection.
It's a very special place in the heart of British people and also throughout the Commonwealth and in the wider world.
Even without the Queen in there, the pieces will be picked up, put back together, and monarchy will continue.
Total survivors. Look what they've gone through over the years. Abdications, the Queen's 1992, Annus Horribilis. This is a family that endures, but more to the point, it's an institution that endures.
It's a great clip. And Angela, the British royal family, they survived the Black Death. Surely all this carry on about an existential crisis is totally overblown.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from. They, as I said, they do endure. In fact, Caroline, I think they're going to come out of this stronger. What's really interesting is that King Charles wanted a slimmed-down monarchy, and what we're actually seeing is this very unified group of people working together. They've been incredibly transparent about their medical issues, and in a sense, that's rebranding them from the royal family that we that the Queen oversaw. This is about being open. It is about being honest about what's going on for you, but about that, we always talked about the Fab Four being Meghan, Harry, William and Kate. Now I think it's very much William and Kate, Charles and Camilla. They're very aligned. We know that the King had lunch with Kate the day before she gave her announcement that she had cancer. And when people experience something really when something makes you focus on your mortality, I think that really makes you think about what is important. And I think this family knows they are first and foremost a family, but they are also an institution. And I think that the security of that will be foremost in their minds. And I think they'll be tighter than ever, which will mean that they're more aligned and we won't see the scuttlebutt, that we've seen in the past.
I think that's an excellent observation. And Pandora, off the back of what Angela's just said, when Princess Catherine, that video she released last week, there was some criticism amongst the commentariat that she sat for that video alone without Prince William. Now, we understand that was her preference. Is that right?
Yeah, it very much was her preference. She wants to control the narrative after weeks of speculation about her own health. Why should she sit next to her husband? And this is actually very reflective of the monarchy and a modern monarchy moving forward, and also a reflection of her as a wife and a mother, and telling her own story despite the fact that she had all of the different headlines and social media madness, which was in Kensington Palace's own words. They did say that, surrounding her health and all the conspiracy theories online. She was there standing by herself, as Charles said, a beloved daughter-in-law, very much telling the nation and around the world exactly what has been happening. And I suppose a polite reminder now, which is why we've not seen her at the church service, the chapel service today in Windsor, without her children, that she now needs privacy to go through this tremendously difficult time.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. And Angela, this week, and moving on to the Sussexes, the UK Telegraph has surmised that Britain's bid for the Invictus Games puts the royal family in a tight spot. And look, I understand, I appreciate, given what's transpired, it is very difficult for Harry to fit into the royal family landscape. But even in this minor capacity?
Look, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, he's going to be there next month. May. He's going to be there for the 10th anniversary Invictus service. And he's making a bid. The UK wants to make a bid, 10 years after the very first Invictus Games. They want to hold it there again. They're up against Washington, D.C. And the question is, how much will the royal family be involved? When the initial games were held, William, Camilla and Charles were all there in support of Harry. I think they'll be bigger than this. This is these games are for military veterans. I don't think the King particularly would be so churlish to not get involved. I think maybe we won't see William and Kate, but we may see the Tyndalls involved. They're very sports focused. I think they could be aligned with Harry and Meghan with the Invictus Games, but I don't think the King will snub it. That said, they've got to win the bid first, so it's a little way off. There's also, of course, the issue of security, and Harry always having this battle over security when he's at home. But I don't think it's going to be the crisis that it's being touted to be, at least in the short term.
No, I don't think it's going to be a crisis, but also these things are never as simple as they really should be. And Pandora, there were also reports this week that the King doesn't necessarily want Harry to return to the UK and hasn't provided for him in the family's succession planning. Now, is this scuttlebutt? Is this true? Can you run us through the details?
Yeah, I think this is a bit of speculation. Look, put two and two together. Harry stepped down as a senior member of the royal family. He's not on great communication with his brother William, who would be in the line of succession to take over Charles when that time happens. Charles really wants to step up into his role as the monarch, and actually the last thing he wants to be spoken about at the moment is his succession, given the fact he's so early on in his reign. Will Harry be privy to private conversations about the working goings-on of the royal family afterwards? Most likely not. But do we know anything about those plans yet? Of course we don't, because they will be kept so under wraps because of the narrative that, Charles wants people to know that he's getting on with the job, and that's the last thing that he would want people to be speaking about at the moment. But putting two and two together, no, I don't think Harry will be high up in terms of the priority list of the confidential information about the next goings-on within the working, pillars of the family right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies, thank you so much. Angela Mollard, Pandora Forsyth, thank you so much for joining us. Now, coming up, will Harry's upcoming visit to the UK finally mend his relationship with the family? Esther Kraku joins us from London to give us the latest on that. Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is writer and broadcaster Esther Kraku. Esther, welcome back and happy Easter. Look, the events of the last few weeks, there seems to finally be a thawing perhaps in the relationship between the Sussexes and the palace. We understand Harry is due to visit the UK soon. When is he due to arrive, and what can we expect perhaps by way of a reunion with the family?
Well, very happy Easter to you too. I think if the events of the last few weeks have shown us anything, it's that their relationship is anything but thawing. So we understand that the Sussexes were only informed of Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis after the media had been informed. So after she'd released that video statement. We know that Harry is due to come to the UK in May to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Invictus Games. We're not sure whether Meghan will be joining him. Obviously, his family coming to the UK has been a huge security concern for for Prince Harry, and this is why he's taken the Home Office to court, and he subsequently lost his case. Meghan is marked as to be confirmed on the guest list, so she is on the guest list, but she hasn't yet confirmed, and we're not sure whether the children will join them as well. I think it really does. It is quite telling, the fact that the Waleses didn't feel the need to tell Harry and Meghan about Princess Catherine's diagnosis. I think it shows that the trust is just completely gone, and I think it will take a while for the current status quo to decalcify, if you will. I'm personally of the opinion that for the Prince and Princess of Wales, Harry and Meghan are really not high on their priority list at all. You can imagine the kind of stress that just being around them and the potential of news leaks would cause, how much stress that would cause to Princess Catherine, and that's not a good thing given her current condition. So I actually suspect that there will probably be even a greater distance between the brothers' families now that William is prioritized with taking care of his wife and his father and taking on more duties alongside the Queen. I actually think this is probably the furthest that the Sussexes and the Waleses will be for a long time.
Now, we understand that Meghan is actually quite anxious about returning to England. And look, given how unedifying her behaviour has been over the last 2 years, it can hardly be a surprise that she's nervous about making landfall in the UK.
Well, I think she's made it clear that joining the royal family and taking on royal duties and kind of being part of the fold was not really something either she had thought through very well, or that her heart was really into. She's made a point of not returning to the UK, whether it's for the same security concerns that Prince Harry has. I'm not entirely sure. I suspect she knows her personal popularity in the UK as well is not very high. Fortunately, we're not the kind of country to throw eggs at someone, but I think you'll know if you're in a crowd and someone doesn't like you. And I don't think she's had much reason to come to the UK. She doesn't have a very good relationship with her in-laws. She's made it very clear that she's not fond of the institution. I'm actually surprised that she continues to use her title, particularly for her new brand, America Riviera Orchard, where it looks like she'll be the first royal to be selling pet food. But I don't think that she's very keen on the UK. I think the relationship has mutually soured. And I think it has less to do with security concerns and more to do with the fact that she knows her personal popularity is probably at its lowest here in the UK.
I did not have the first royal to sell pet food on my 2024 bingo card, so thank you so much for that, Esther. Now, the line of succession in the royal family is very clear. Harry was always going to be the spare. Now, there's been a report this week, and we understand that due to Harry having perhaps more limited financial prospects, he received a greater inheritance than William from the Queen Mother. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Queen Mother, who died in 2002, left her estate, the vast majority of her £70 million estimated estate, to the Queen, obviously, her daughter. But it is known that she actually left a bigger portion of trust, sort of access and money in a trust fund to Prince Harry because, of course, he was never meant to be king. I think people don't actually understand the personal wealth of Prince Harry. So alongside the inheritance left by the Queen Mother and his mother, Princess Diana, which has been estimated to, I think, £38 million. He's quite a wealthy man. It's again why I found it so baffling that he felt the need to do all the sort of Netflix stuff and all the kind of media flogging that he's been doing to allegedly pay for his family's security and upkeep. He's a very wealthy man, independently of any circumstances that happened to him. I mean, he mentioned in his book Spare that his father had cut him off. I mean, that's virtually impossible. He may have been cut off from his father's finances, but I suspect the inheritance left to him by the very generous inheritance, should I say, left to him by his mother, the late Princess Diana, and the late Queen Mother is quite sizable indeed.
Huge news this week with a sex trafficking lawsuit being filed against US rapper P. Diddy. Obviously, these are just allegations at this stage, but some very serious allegations nonetheless. Now, if that news wasn't shocking enough, the lawsuit mentions Prince Harry. We understand he's not accused of any wrongdoing, but how on earth has Harry been engulfed in this mess?
Unfortunately, this looks like one of the downsides of being a prince. Everyone wants to be in your company. When Prince Harry was actually fun and had a personality, he used to hang with some sort of high rollers and high ballers in sort of the Hollywood royalty scene. And unfortunately, that included P. Diddy. Look, the lawsuit doesn't mention any wrongdoing on Prince Harry's part. I believe this is just a named association, and it's to prove a point that P. Diddy's association and ability to mingle with people like Prince Harry and like, you know, the upper echelons of society, like the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncés, gave him some credibility to allegedly carry out the criminal acts that he's now being accused of. Fortunately for Prince Harry, he's not been accused of any actual wrongdoing. I think it was just to make a point. It's unfortunate that his name has been dragged. But, you know, Prince William has also been in the company of very famous people, other prince and princesses, celebrities. The late Queen had a well-known fondness for Marilyn Monroe. So unfortunately, if her name got caught up in something, you know, it's very likely that the Queen's name might have been associated with it in one form or another.
Now, you mentioned it earlier, and we recently covered Harry's failed bid against the UK Home Office over the provision of personal security for the Sussexes. Now, this week we found out how much it cost the taxpayer. It's obscene, isn't it, Esther?
Yes, it's cost the taxpayer about £500,000. Now, many people are confused as to why Prince Harry is not going to pay the sum, considering he lost his legal bid. I'm not really sure why. Usually it is sort of common for people that lose a law case to foot the bill of their defendants' legal bills, basically. But I suspect it's his right as a British citizen to contest any decision made by the Home Office, and apparently that I suspect that falls under kind of legal aid. But it has cost the Home Office a lot of money. I think what most people actually will think is he thought this case, one, was strong enough to actually win, and he thought his case was important enough for him to take it all the way to court, basically. £500,000. I mean, if that's what the Home Office spent, I suspect he spent probably double that on a team of private lawyers who ultimately, it looks like, gave him ill advice because he's lost his case. The wider implications, obviously, is if he spent all this money and in the end he's lost the case, what's going to happen to his family? Is he going to bring them over? Is he going to spend less time in the UK? As a result, I can say that most members of the British public are not particularly bothered if they never see the Sussexes on British soil again. But it does have implications for Prince Harry. What is he going to do? What are his prospects? Is he just going to build a life in the US and focus on the Invictus Games and Meghan's pet food and chicken feed brand? We don't know.
Esther Cracky, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Before we go, I just want to reflect on our interview with the King's nephew, Peter Phillips, last week. I was delighted to bring this exclusive interview to Royal Report viewers. And given the global focus on Princess Catherine's health last week, the interview gave timely insight into how the royal family supports itself during difficult times. Now, the global reach we were able to achieve hopefully shed some light on the difficult circumstances the family have unfortunately been forced to endure, whether it be here in Australia, England, or all the way over in America. This level of coverage certainly shows that the royal family are a symbol of strength and compassion, not just for the Commonwealth, but for the globe. And that's the show for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Up next is Newsnight. Good night, and we will see you next week.